Welcome to this edition of the Whistle Time on West 9 TV, and we're broadcasting on channel 477. We do this every day, giving you whatever is happening in the world of sports. My name is Oscar Brazilian, and we have so many things to discuss today. Most preferably, we'll start at home with the issues surrounding Onduparaka, why they are delaying so much to resume business. And of course, we'll be talking to one of the players who has actually switched his allegiance from Uganda, I should say, from Uganda Cranes to South Sudan. That's where he's going to be featuring. I'm not alone, just like I said, I have these two gentlemen in the studio. I have Adino Gibson, and I also have the spokesperson of Onduparaka FC. Gentlemen, from left to right, you're most welcome to West 9 TV and the Whistle Time.
Thank you, Oscar.
Well, on this note, I would just like to take it head on with the PR. Or the last time you were here, you talked big. You said several things that we are going to be witnessing. But to date, you have not resumed training. Business has failed to start. What is happening?
Oscar, very interesting that you raised this question. I think last week, in the midweek, we released our activity plan for the upcoming season. And the interesting thing that we had was a 2-week training camp in Kampala, as well as a 2-week training continuation in Arua. Why it has stalled is, our marketing director lost the father. And that is why we had to put everything on hold, because if one of us is mourning, we mourn together. It can't be every time that when someone is not okay, we again continue to go on with our activity plan. And yet, this time round, the two people will be very, very key for us in making some decisions. Though we can make key decisions, but there are some things that we need them, whether the resources are there or not. That's why we have stalled. But we are going to get on and move on. And this weekend, things will be okay. We are going to run everything normally.
Earlier on, you stated the day you are going to unveil a player, it will shake the whole of this country. Now, I became so curious. Are you about to unveil Nelson Sekatuka to Onduparaka? What is about to happen? What is cooking up?
I had said, you see, we are trying to rebuild ourselves. We are rebuilding the team. I said earlier, when I'm with you in the show, I did tell you, we don't want stress of again having, we don't want stress of saying we're in the relegation zone. This time around, we want to ensure that we're in a safer zone. Even when the season is ending, when the season is beginning, we should be safe. We want, our biggest thing that I want to do this season is to get fans back. We want the love for the club to be back. That's where we're heading to.
Getting the love of the fans. Well, I love that bit, but let's look at the other side. There's been a lot of questions being raised by people. How do you start training, yet you've not even announced your technical team? You don't even know who your head coach is going to be. How realistic is that the head coach might like the players, or the head coach is there, you don't want to unveil, you don't want to talk about him, and he's the one behind all these signings that you're doing behind closed doors?
You see, there are moments where, Oscar, there are key people to make a decision in terms of exit and incoming of players. So all these things we are doing are in consultations with the technical team. I'm saying this before the camera. I'm not saying this behind the door.
Consultation with the technical team.
Consultation with the technical team. That's where we're heading to. We don't. You see, this time around, I want everybody to do his work. Where fans are not coming to the stadium, blame me. Where players are not performing, we must evaluate the technical team. And we don't want a coach that will come one season is gone. We want a coach that will come and stay. Sustainability is very key to succeed in an organization. Now today here I'm with you. The next day, West 9 TV gets in another person. Work will become hard. The person who comes in will not learn. Will take time. Your expertise will go. But what we want is a coach that can come and last and stay for longer at the club to meet our ambitions that we want to have for the few years to come.
Well, there is no any other coach who has stayed at Onduparaka longer than Charles Livingstone Babazi and the former technical director. That is now in South Sudan. He was with the team Paida Black Angels before. But what's the guarantee this coach you want to bring is going to stay longer at Team Onduparaka Football Club?
You see, the guarantee is what we have, our strategic plan. We have got a 5-year strategic plan. Why we have taken long to announce a coach is maybe the coach will not fit in our strategic plan. That's why we are taking long. It doesn't mean that we are just going to pick a coach. Coach, come, you help us for 2 days for the first 5 games of the EPL. It's going to be over. No. Want a coach that will have interest in the youth. A coach that can have youth development. That's the coach we want. Because at the end, he will transform the same players to play in the senior team. That's where we're heading to.
Well, the youthful setup at the club has just been an issue that generated a lot of debate. You promoted very few players. That was before you came, but you assumed responsibility even when you were not there. Several players who have been promising, the likes of Kent Anthony, you talk about the likes of Okumu Rogers. I mean, some of them have gotten the time, but I must state that over the years, Onduparaka's under-17 has not produced, or those players have not made that transition just the way anticipated. So how are you going to get these players together? Most of them have now gone to your rivals, the Roy Hill Soccer Club, others are with the Roy Soccer Academy, where I witnessed them training at one point or the other. That means they're no longer part of that team. So how are you going to reorganize the youthful setup of the team?
We're going to use the past to learn. We're going to use the past that has happened to learn. And I told you we want to make a new start. We know at a certain point that we lost the track in terms of keeping the talent of the young lads that we have. But above all, we are going to make a new start. We are going to have a search for talent, search for talented players. And we partner with the available institutions that we have. That will be a very key partnership for us to ensure that we keep the players that we are going to get together. I'm not talking about the players that have already gone. Because if the players that played under 17 and under 19 2 seasons ago are now adult players, they are now between 23 to 25. So our interest is to get players that are between 17 to 20. We nurture them with the help of the technical team we are going to set, and that we have already set up, which is just remaining with the unveiling we are going to have. But above all, we are going to make a new start. Things that have happened. We can't go back to them, but we are going to make a new start and ensure that the system works.
To that regard, do you think Onduparaka has learned lessons from ever since then, having been able to attract very good, talented young players, but they have never sold any player that has benefited the club? I mean, in terms of sales, you nurture them, but other teams come for them, and you don't benefit in terms of revenue.
Oscar, you are spot on. We have learned enough. That's why I've said our last 5 years playing in the Uganda Premier League is a learning moment for us, and we have learned enough. We are going to ensure that we close those gaps and we fill them. You see, the most important thing is admitting where you have gone wrong, where things have not been happening right. You say you are very sorry and you must be apologetic. Human nature can make mistakes, but you should be able to learn from the mistakes that you have made and make things better and ensure that you work on those weaknesses and you close them. That's why I have said in our 5-year strategic plan, things are going to change. That's my biggest promise.
Well, you sound so passionate about those that you want to really correct. What is the most hurting mistake that you think Onduparaka has ever made, that you really want to make it as a learning point and as a strength now that you've come on board? I know you used to criticize just like I do for good reasons, but now where you are, you may not criticize the way I am doing. For your own reasons, for the safety of your job.
I have said what we lacked was structures. We want to get structures on board. We want to ensure we constantly have good relations with the stakeholders we have. Why I'm saying stakeholders is the institutions that we have, educational institutions, that they are very key, by the way, in terms of nurturing, where we are going to partner with them, even the primary schools that excel in sports. That's where our interest is going to be. As then looking at secondary schools where we place the children that we have, and also together with the school, how can we work together to ensure that we give a sponsorship to such kind of bright talents that we have and ensure. And another hurting moment that I felt that I want to correct is, you see, the club had a very huge gap between the funds and specific funds. My short-term plan 1 season I want our fans back, and that's my short-term plan. Where you will judge me on.
Well, someone would ask, how do you hope to get the funds back? What are your strategic plans of getting these funds back?
You see, to get funds back, it is quite easy.
Results.
One of the things that I will do is, you see, I already have my short-term plan to have meeting. If I call funds for a meeting like 5 people, 10 people, then they will go back to those other people and say, this guy has got plans for us. They will be my gospel preachers. Now that if I have these plans, I will enlarge the base. And this my target is to get seasonal tickets for fans. You see, when you pay early, we shall not disturb you, present your card, enter. You will not have any stress of again saying, money, pay early. That's my first. I want to have 100 fans on seasonal ticket. That's my target.
Okay.
And I will get something very easy for me.
Well, that seems to be a little strategic and economical in the first place. I don't know how you're going to do it. We just know that, we just hope that happens. I want to turn focus to a player I have here. It's called Dino Gibson. I mean, last season they released 14 players, and you happen to be amongst those who survived the axe. What does that make you feel about your club and generally you being left at Onduparaka?
Basically, you know, when a club goes on to release players, there's that evaluation that they really take first before releasing players. And I think if you look at the setup that they're going through now, I might have fallen through the plan, the program of the club, and that's why basically I'm still part of the club. But I think when you look at the team itself, it's a good team. Players being released, it's something that happens everywhere. You see, you find that players come and players go. So those who have been released, they might have run out of contracts. Maybe the club is also looking at bringing in new faces to strengthen the club and everything. But to me, actually, I'm still in Onduparaka because maybe they still have me in their own plans.
Mm. Yeah. Well, let's talk in regards to the 14 players that have left. Let me just use that term. Some of them could have been very close to you. Who are some of those players you miss a lot?
At Onduparaka, we are a family. And if you look at us all in Onduparaka, when you see us hanging around, we hang out as a family. And I can tell you most of these guys who have left are all my brothers, and they are so close to me. But some of the players have really associated with so close. You can talk about Ajobema Atoto. There's Andamadins. These are players at least who interact with them every day, but these are really key players, and I'm really going to miss them.
Mm. Well, going to miss them again also comes to that bit of relationship you're going to build with the new players. What are your expectations of a type of a player Onduparaka should bring, according to how you have been in the club? You might have noticed how the tradition of the club is how players should adopt. So which type of players do you think should come to Onduparaka and continue with how you also have been in the club for this long?
Talking about the incomings of Onduparaka, Onduparaka has been a club that always goes out there, they bring in good players, and when they come in, they also fit in the system. And I really don't want to talk so much about who is coming to the club, who is not coming. But one fact I know is that when Onduparaka goes out to the market, whatever they bring to you on the plate is going to be quality.
Mm. Last season was again another interesting one. You finished at the position of Onduparaka finished last season. What do you anticipate will happen this season?
There is a say you always learn from your past. I think last season was one of our worst seasons ever since we joined the Premier League. But as players, you know, we always want to look back and try and build something really so strong from the past. And I believe whoever comes in now, the players who are still in the club, we are really going to build something strong. And we will look back and say, yeah, last season we performed really so bad, and this time at least we need to up our game so that we can finish in a better position that will interest our fans.
Well, stick with us. West Nile TV, Whistle Time. We'll be getting back immediately after here. And the next discussion would actually take us to players from West Nile who are switching allegiance to South Sudan. Why is that happening? Is it because they don't have playing time, or they think they may never feature for the national team, for Uganda Cranes, or they think the better opportunities lies elsewhere? Or is it because of money? We get to find out when we get back. Stick to us. It's a waste of time. Welcome back. You're still watching Whistle Time on West Nile TV channel 447 if you are on Star Times. And this brings us to the discussion why players from West Nile are switching allegiance to play for the national team of South Sudan. Quite a number of them from West Nile, to be exact. And if you can mention one of them, we'll start with Tito Okello. I think he's from Northern. He switched his allegiance, followed by Toha Rashid, then Adino Gibson, and most of others have been rumored as well to be soon switching again to South Sudan. Amongst them, Rothomio Cromwell Abang said it's a possibility, and a couple of others have been hearing, the likes of Gaddafi Wahab, the likes of Rabba Boy, as they used to call him. But see, this brings us to the basics. You need to say, I want to start with the PRO. As from your understanding of football, you have followed football for some time. Why do you think this is now becoming a norm for players, especially those coming from West Nile? They feel for them to have football, to play football, and at the international level, if not for a club, they need to go to our neighbors, South Sudan, and this is evident. Why do you think this is coming about?
You see, Oscar, this is not the first time. If you go to Europe, you'll see a couple of Brazilian players like Deco, who crossed them to play for a different national team. A couple of African players have gone to play for France and other European teams. You can see other nations like Sterling, not original English guys. They cross them to play for another national team. And this, narrowing it back to what we have in our country, you see our players are so many in this country. Then some players feel there are moments, you see as a player, there are moments that you enjoy when you play for country. Is the best moment that you are when you are representing your own country. It is the biggest thing for a player to achieve in life. So looking at in Uganda, you see in Uganda there are so many players, I know, and then it comes to selection of them, then it comes to form of players, sometimes it is not observed, then opportunity, like as of now, looking at players like Gibson, the immediate opportunity that they have is meaning the future is very thin for them to feature for Uganda Cranes. So for you to get that exposure, for you to brag with your child, the child that he is going to have in future, maybe he has in future, I also played football. Now, did you feature for the national team? No. But for me, I decided to switch my allegiance to play for South Sudan, their neighbors. So that's the opportunities. But I played at the top level. See, those things, it is what we call self-actualization, life after football. Now you have played. At what level did you play? Do you have medals that we have in the sitting room? Can we hang on to brag about? My dad played. My dad played for in Uganda Premier League club and went on to represent a national team. which I think is a big achievement for them. But in Uganda, players are so many. Then, if you look at summoning, has been narrowed to the teams that perform very, very well in Uganda Premier League. You can see most of the summons within come from clubs that perform very, very well in the subsequent seasons that are going to occur, or that have happened in Uganda. But I think it's good for them. One is for exposure. Then in addition to that, as well as in future tell their children that one time I also featured for a national team.
Let's stick to this still. Do you think, amongst the reasons, do you think it could have been influenced by money?
Of course, I said self-actualization. You see, to enjoy life, you need money. So, money, you see, money comes after. Because if you feel you're good, if you are a very good player, and then life must be good. A good life is enjoyed when you have money. So, if you have a better offer, if I have better offer for you now, well, also Oscar, you will leave West Nile TV and take my better offer. So why? Sometimes here, basically, you see the problem that we have in the national team is that some of your players has not been on form. History.
Okay.
History.
Like Emmanuel Arnold.
Players that are clubless, they are unattached, they are summoned to the national team. Just because the history that you have been performing for the national team, whether you are there actively playing or not, you are just being summoned, which is very unfortunate for our country, by the way.
Very interesting indeed. Keep following our discussions, by the way, on Waste Your Time, and you can as well come to us in Weatherhead Park Lane, and you can do business right here on West Nile TV. Let me turn to one of those who have actually also switched his allegiance. The last time I checked, he was also among the players who were summoned, and he now is a South Sudanese international. Let me get from your point of view, Gibson. What made you switch your allegiance to South Sudan?
Naturally, I'm a South Sudanese by birth. I was born in
So
South Sudan.
there's some connection?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was born in South Sudan, grew up here in Uganda. Like the PRO said, when you're in a country like Uganda, which is so much blessed with talent, there are limited opportunities that you get playing for the national team. But as a player, there is always that dream you want to play for the national team, and you look at where you have the opportunity. So I looked at Uganda. Much as I'm a registered Ugandan, you look at the opportunities here, so many talented players, you find the chances are so slim. So you look at South Sudan, yeah, it's a growing country, a young nation by the way. They are trying to develop themselves, and when they give you that call-up, you know there's that exposure. So you rush on and get it. So that makes you have your dreams of playing for the national team.
Were you waiting for this opportunity, or it just came by luck? Or were you thinking one time you'll play for South Sudan?
It's something I've thought of it all my time. Like growing up as a footballer, you always want to be in the national team. So I've always been thinking, what do I need to do so that I get to the national team? It's about working hard, it's about keeping my focus. And when the opportunity came in there, it found me when I was prepared.
Let's look at some of the other reasons. Could it have been in any way connected to money? Because just like the PRO said, you can't rule out money.
At the end of the day, you play football and what you get is money.
Money, yes.
Yeah. Well, you cannot go and work and expect to get nothing in return. So when you're playing football, there's work and you get money. So it also comes as part of it. You know so well when you go over there, you're going to play football. And at the end of the day, what do you get as a reward? It's money. So when you look at the all mix up, it's money and football. And of course, you have to play first, then money comes in. Yeah.
There has always been the aspect of money so fast killing the careers of young players. I mean, is that the case with you? Because you have not ruled out the issues of money. And we have also seen players whose careers are almost dying just because they feel, I only need to sign 2 years, because at the end of the day I need to be a free agent so that I get sign-on fee. To what extent do you think you're going to rely on money apart from you representing your country?
Like I told you before, you know, when you're playing, there is always that reward you get after playing. And of course money is connected. But to me, going in to play for South Sudan, it's an honor. when you're playing for a country, it's an honor. I don't know if other players just go there to have fun and they come back. No, you go there, you're giving your art because it's your country. You're giving it the best you can, so that at least at the end of the day, when you go home, when you retire, like the PRO said, at least your kids will have something to talk about. Yeah.
Among us, those who have been summoned, some people would say maybe your decision was influenced by other players who had made the switch before, the likes of Tito Okello and Toha Rashid. How did you welcome that news that you are going to play alongside these same people you've played with at Onduparaka, others you've played against even when you're at Onduparaka in other clubs? To what extent do they influence your decision to go and play for the national team of South Sudan?
When I went to South Sudan, the player I got to join there first was Tito Okello. I think Toha came in when I was already a player in South Sudan. But if you look at them joining, of course, you know, Tito Okello, these are players you've played with in Uganda, you played against, and you know, when you have a player like him playing in the same team with you, it motivates you. So having them in the team is one reason I also came in. But of course, I've always been connected with the national team. There have been calls for the categories of under 17, under 23, but because most of the time I was here concentrating on the studies, I really couldn't give it that much time to go in there to the national team.
So how is the feeling like you playing, let's say you're playing against Uganda Cranes and you happen to score? Will you have conflicts, like you feel like you should not celebrate because at one point you're in Uganda, you're featuring for South Sudan, you've scored against Uganda? How generally was that feeling be like for you to celebrate against Uganda Cranes?
Uganda Cranes and South Sudan, they put on different jerseys. And that clearly tells you that when I'm putting on South Sudan national team jersey, I'm already an opponent to Uganda. So when I score a goal, it calls for celebration because I'm representing my country. Why should I hide myself not celebrating against Uganda? We're already different. I'm putting on South Sudan jersey, playing against Uganda. So when I go on and score a goal, yeah, I might have grown up from here, but that attachment playing for the national team of South Sudan will always be there. Yeah.
Darby, you have ever celebrated goals against Onduparaka, but will that be the same when you celebrated if Onduparaka will concede a goal from a team that I know you support? If they score a goal against Onduparaka, how will the celebration be like for you?
You see, when it comes to football, allegiance is very key. Where were you and where are you going?
Okay.
You see, why the club I've been supporting, to be honest, I've been supporting Barabois.
Yes.
That's the club I've been supporting from my childhood and up to now. And you know, there's a bit of growth that you, as a person, you need to have, as well as having discipline. You know, where growth comes in, you must have discipline and humility. But above all, right now, there's no way my brand cannot be changed. Even when it is victorious, when Paraka has scored, I must celebrate because that's where I belong. Allegiance is very key. That's what I told you.
Would it be that you're fearing for your job because if they see the PRO celebrating against the club, it speaks for?
No. Varabo is not a direct competitor.
You can play Uganda Cup.
No, even if we play in Uganda Cup, I'll be supporting on the Paraka Football Club, to be honest. That's where I've switched my allegiance to, and that must be observed. It would be betrayal.
Yes. The same scenario happened. I was getting to the spokesperson of Gaddafi FC. The guy tells me he's just doing a job. He's not a fan of Gaddafi, he's a fan of KCCA. But then we ask him, what would happen if KCCA scores, if the KCCA scores against Gaddafi? Would you celebrate? Saying that one now I will not know what to do. That's why I was trying to relate it to you.
No, that comes to integrity, doing right.
But in the actual sense, Varabos has never been removed from you.
No, because I committed myself to support the club financially, spiritually, materially. That's I can't deny where I've come from, to be honest. But where I'm working is where it is different. It is different, and that's where I'm going to concentrate for now. Even if we meet, I will support on the Paraka Football Club, because in my commitment, I promise to serve the club diligently in all ways, including supporting them when results are not coming. When they are winning, I celebrate with them.
Okay, maybe just sticking to professionalism there, but let's get to this side. I also still want to engage you specifically about the issue of your teammates. Apart from Tito Okello, apart from Toha Rashid, who are some of these teammates of yours that you feel you have really learned a lot from, especially in the South Sudan national team?
There are so many of them. South Sudanese, that side also, those are good players. We have players who come from Australia. They play different parts in Europe. So when they come in, these are guys you can learn at least from. And by the way, when you go to South Sudan, people talk about South Sudan. They say a lot of things about South Sudanese, but these are lovely people. The way they welcome you and the way they take you, they treat you like a brother. So the captain of the national team is a very good guy. When we went in, and he was the first person who welcomed us in warmly, and we felt at home. So these are some of the people that I really learned from. But us who have crossed here going that side, we are not only Tito Okello, Gibson Adino, Toha Rashid. There are those of Steven Data, Wania Ivanov.
Is Michael Makwethe one of them?
Yeah, Makwethe is also that side. At least you have a feel like you are at home, because these are guys you associate here with, and when you get on that side, there's always that good feeling.
What would be the feeling like if these players, those ones were not there? I mean, you seem to have had connections from Uganda. There you're just going to Pano Beach. What would be the feeling like if those ones were not there?
Like I told you, so many guys back home, they are also lovely. Even if they are not there, there are still a lot of players there who can welcome, who can make you feel at home. Like I told you, the captain, so many of them who come from Australia, Czech Republic. These are lovely guys, and without these ones from Uganda, there's still a better place to be with those ones outside.
So where do you hope to see yourself playing football after on Baraka, according to your aspirations and dreams?
Where I want to be is not actually where I am now. I'm looking at extending what I have now to a bigger brand. Playing for the national team is not yet enough for me. Onduparaka is not going to be my last club. I also want to play for better clubs outside. I'm not saying Onduparaka is not a good club, but there are other clubs outside Africa too that maybe when one day opportunity comes in, I can also fancy. But at the moment, I'm still attached to Onduparaka, and my concentration is how I can help the club, and of course, using it also as a process to improve myself so that I can get opportunity to play outside somewhere else also.
Okay. Well, we'll take another quick break, and when we get back, we'll now head to the analysis of the European transfer deadline day. It happened last night. It was a very interesting one, and we get to find out which players made the cut to which clubs and how effective are they going to be. And I know the most talked about club is the team Arsenal, because they are rock bottom and something that has not happened to them in a very long time. Others even anticipating that Arsenal might get relegated in case they don't sack Mikel Arteta. Will that happen or not? Waste of time is still here. We get back after here. Welcome back. This is now the last episode of this show, and we will be discussing a lot of the transfers, a lot of the issues that has happened in the transfer, this transfer deadline that just concluded yesterday. And interestingly, you've had players making switches from here and there. I have a Southampton United fan, and I also have a Manchester United fan. He doesn't want to admit, but he's a Man U fan. That's what I know. So with them we'll be discussing some of the key transfers, especially on what they should be expecting. I want to start with the Southampton fan. I am so happy to notice there's some fans of Southampton here. What will be the expectation this time around for Southampton, basing on how they performed last season and this season starting? What do you think is going to be good for Southampton?
We've been struggling the previous seasons until when the new coach came in, Half, and he's really changed so much about the team. This time on, we've lost players to other clubs, and also a lot of players have also come in. So my expectations, I think, with the current crop of players he has now, I think he has gone into the market to bring in players whom he feels were really missing in this system. Wherever there is demands where there are certain players he really needed, but this time going into the market, bringing guys like Armstrong from Birmingham City, bringing in the likes of Theo Walcott permanently, I think it really adds something to the team. And
but losing Takumi Minamino back to Liverpool,
of course he came on loan, and of course players like Obafemi also who left yesterday.
But again, losing your top scorer last season,
Danny Ings.
Dan Ings was now going to West Ham United, to Aston Villa. Yes.
So with the signings he has done, I think there is really so much hope. And I believe he's going to crack in something. At least we expect to finish better than we did last season.
Expectations are actually growing. Let me turn to my side, the PRO, a Manchester United fan. He doesn't want to admit. You have brought in Cristiano Ronaldo, and I think that's the major signing. Someone once stated that the signing of Cristiano Ronaldo is the best signing Manchester United has made since the last time they signed Cristiano Ronaldo. Do you agree to that fact?
I don't want to speak as a fan, and I want to speak as an analyst. You see, Cristiano Ronaldo's presence in Manchester United, number one factor is business bit of it. Because a club will want to go for a name in terms of sales of the merchandise that you have, the TV revenue they are going to get, as well as image rights. I think that is the first impact that Cristiano Ronaldo will bring to Manchester United. Then, in addition to that, Ronaldo will change mentality of players in the dressing room, of being losers every time to being winners. then it will actually motivate the players more. If Cristiano Ronaldo can leave all these other clubs and come to Manchester United, that means they have to up their game. You have to improve on their personal performances. You see, I always say that Manchester United individually, if you compare Manchester United players to the players that Manchester City has, that have gone on to win the Premier League title, United players individually look better, more talented than City players. Then then it comes to self-belief and undermining what you have to perform. Then Cristiano as well will completely change the feeling in the dressing room alone for the players. Always, like United has been having a couple of problems in terms of scoring. He will help them for some time. He has been there in the Premier League. His impact will be so basically business. I don't see Manchester United winning a trophy as long as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is still a coach.
But
you see, as a coach, you have gone to lose 2 finals and 2 semi-finals. That's very bad, by the way, as a coach. That kills your reputation. That means that you cannot manage
big occasions.
You cannot manage occasions that are under pressure. Yeah.
Well, you seem to be very skeptical about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but how would you compare Ole Gunnar Solskjaer with Mikel Arteta?
Comparing Mikel Arteta to, you see, Arteta seems to be a confused coach. Ole Gunnar can, at least when you give Ole Gunnar money, Ole Gunnar can buy for a player worth it. But if you look at the expenditure of all the players in this window, Arsenal spent more than all the other English Premier League clubs.
I think it's reached about now 135 because
now looking at the quality of players it brings, like you again bring in a defender, you send a defender on loan. That looks. Then you bring in a left back. Meanwhile, you have 2 good left backs in your team. You have good team, and you're sending another left back. That seems to
Nuno
be
Tavares.
wrong. And then I basically blame Edu. Edu has got problem with his mind. You see, a technical director, one of the key performance indicators of a technical director
The signings.
is the signings and exit. You see, when you let out good players and you bring in players that do not fit in the system, you see, Ole spent around 103. He brought in 3 good quality players. You identified key. Though Manchester United does not have a technical director, which I think they need to have, because modern clubs are going towards that. So if Arsenal's biggest problem has been people who make decisions. Now money has been there, money was given. Nobody will believe that Arsenal does not have money. Arteta has been supported fully to get good players, but he failed. He signed players that will not have impact for him. And transfer, I expected him to go for the guy who was at Wolves, Adama. Adama's value was 45 million pounds. Those are players that can have impact in your team in the Premier League. Look at the signings of Liverpool at Southampton as well as at Wolves. They have signed very good players that have gone on to transform the team to a trophy-winning side, which Arsenal has failed to see. Then the likes of Neves, were available at cheaper price.
Ruben Neves.
Why didn't he go and sign at least Adama? Adama would have impact bringing that process for him and helps the team.
But someone would argue Adama is more of a traditional winger kind of, an Antonio Valencia kind of a player.
No, look at what
can he fit in the modern game right now?
Look at what he did against Manchester United. Created 8 chances, had 6 tackles. That's a good winger. You need those wingers. You see, why I'm saying Fergie terrorized, Fergie had a territory winning, had created a territory for himself, weakening opponents. Fergie identifies a very good player at Wolves. You go and sign that player. He weakens his opponents to get results. So that's exactly what Liverpool did to Southampton as well. Then the likes of Mane
brought money and Virgil van Dijk
did everything so to weaken them.
But
you see,
players
for you to succeed in the Premier League, you must to some extent also get players within the Premier League to adapt very easily. That's why Lampard took some bit of time. He had signings outside. Players took long to adapt. Then he failed to manage them to some extent. Then when Tuchel came in, when Thomas Tuchel came in, he changed a lot of things.
in a short time.
Within a short time. That's why Chelsea was trying to go on chest to chest with the likes of Manchester City.
Well, do you think Arsenal are in a good position?
Arsenal, as a club right now, I think they're really going through a lot. If you look at the Arsenal people really know. You cannot talk about the Arsenal of those days and you try and compare them with the Arsenal of now. Like the Piero just stated, they are the busiest club in the English Premier League this season in terms of transfers. But which are the players they have brought in? Have they brought in players who are really going to fit in their system? Which are the positions they needed to fill in? You find they go on for defenders when they have defenders. I expected Arsenal to concentrate more on the midfield. Ever since Mesut Ozil left the club, I've not seen really Arsenal doing so much in terms of creativity. So I expected them to look at players like Bruno Neves. He's a very good player, and his value was so cheap. But who are the players they went for? Nokonga, the likes of Tavares.
Tavares, for Ben White.
Ben White, very expensive players. But what impact are they bringing into the club is the question that goes back to Arsenal.
Well, everyone seems to be writing off Team Arsenal. I don't know, maybe because you fall on the other side and you fall on this side, because Arsenal is a very big rival to Manchester United.
No, absolutely.
Are they still a rival to Manchester United?
No.
Where do you rate Arsenal?
Arsenal, as of now, the best position Arsenal will finish will be in the mid-table. Looking at the quality of you see, Arsenal's biggest problem
they have added Tahiro Tomiyasu from Bologna.
I've seen a defender.
Yes.
So at the moment, defense. Their problem was, I think, central defense. Where
but
this other Brazilian guy
to be injured. That is Mejales. To be honest, Arsenal struggled in the central defense. You had David Luiz, who, of course, by age now, he's aged. Yeah, he's now aging. It's not as effective as he used to be. You have now people like Rob Holding. Up to now, honestly, I don't know why a player like Rob Holding is at Team Arsenal. You have on the other side this player they signed from Southampton. He went on loan. He has been going.
Cedric.
Liverpool Cedric Suarez, the one who has been playing as a right back, but at Fulham he played as a central midfielder. He's an Englishman. I normally keep forgetting. I keep forgetting his name. But I think they brought Michales. Michales was one of the flops for me. But right now, Ben White, the reason why they're going for this Tomiyasu is because Ben White is not good in the air. He struggles with in the air. He struggles a lot. That's why they're bringing in this gentleman to complement him.
At one time, if you look at Skoda and Mustafi by the Mustafi, when the season when Manchester United signed Maguire, Mustafi and Maguire, Mustafi was a better centre half in terms of wins, aerial duels, everything. Mustafi was a better centre half than Maguire. Then now it comes to Maguire, Mustafi was not being consistent in that team. Was not given that to have that consistency week out. You see them swifting players, swifting a different person. You see a player begins to get confidence in the field of play. Now if player is not given chance, player cannot get any confidence. That's why Arsenal lost it to some extent. If they had interest on Mustafi, by now they would have looked for a very hard tackling defender to play alongside Mustafi. A very good one.
But again, Mustafi left Arsenal, went to Schalke, Sofia, got relegated alongside Sead Kolasinac. Sead Kolasinac is back, Skoda Mustafi is nowhere. I mean, how would you want to have such a player? Last time you stated Aaron Ramsdale is...
Arsenal has also gone for a goalkeeper that was relegated. So
but that may not be the case. Remember, he kept a clean sheet. 6-0, he didn't concede any goal in the League Cup.
That was with the amateur team.
Very interesting indeed. I want to get to your side as we wind up. What will your top 4 look like?
This season, I think teams have really shaped enough. To me, this has been the most interesting transfer windows over the years. We find transfers happening unexpectedly. Right now, taking a look at who would finish from the first position to number 4, you look at teams. Manchester City were champions last season. What do they have in the bag this time round? Do they have the players that will still keep them where they're supposed to be? It is a question that we need to ask ourselves. You look at them; they are playing currently without a striker, by the way, a well-recognized striker.
They're playing a false 9.
But they are scoring goals. Yes. That tells you that their potential is still high. So again, you look at Ronaldo joining Manchester United. It adds really something so huge to the club. Like the PRO said that the dressing room now is going to be motivated with the presence of Ronaldo. Then you look at Liverpool, how many signings have they done?
They've only made one signing. That is
only one signing.
Ibrahim Konate from RB Leipzig.
Yeah, and then there's Chelsea who have really regenerated so much.
Yes, Romelu Lukaku, Saul
joined yesterday.
Yes.
They lost Kat Zuma. He probably was about to finish the deal for Kuls Kunde.
Yes.
But he couldn't go through. But my top 4, in my own opinion, I think to me, looking at the clubs one by one, I think Chelsea has got a very good club, a very good team.
So Chelsea will be number 1?
Chelsea, I expect them to be up there. Then
followed by
Manchester. If they change something about their coach, I think they can really give these clubs something to think about. Because right now, you're looking at Manchester United, their biggest problem is the coach. Who do they have the good players, but is the coach doing the right thing? Does he have the philosophy? Does he have a system? These are questions we really need to ask him. But to me, I think looking at my top 4, I would have Chelsea, Manchester City, and then Man U, Liverpool comes in. That's my own opinion.
That is his top 4. How will your top 4 look like? Manchester United, maybe.
Okay. Looking at if you look at like Thomas Tuchel has been coaching from when he was 25 years. He has been learning.
True.
And he's I think 47, 48. So meaning he has learned a lot. Then Thomas Tuchel has got a problem of managing many stars. That's why he failed at Paris Saint-Germain. if he will not manage the players well, expectations of the players that he has at his disposal very, very well, in terms of discipline, in terms of game time, if he will not manage them well, he will lose it to Pep Guardiola, who used to be, who is dynamic in that. Though Manchester City does not have good strikers. You see, you don't force goals in modern football. You don't force
Anyone
goals.
can score.
Anyone scores, and goals come by themselves. You don't force. That's what most coaches do not know. That's where City is, and Spurs is a bit inconsistent. I know they have started on a
But
very
for now,
high.
3-3.
I'm saying inconsistent. The season has just started. That's how Spurs usually starts.
Okay. So how is your top four going to be?
I'm looking at Manchester City, United, Chelsea, and Liverpool.
Manchester City, Manchester United, Chelsea, and Liverpool.
Yeah.
Okay, very interesting indeed. We'll be keeping our fingers crossed to find out whether this will go as predicted. But if you look at the teams that are very complete, it is Team Chelsea. I can say that without any fear of contradiction. And then Manchester City. Why I say Chelsea, in the lower block, Chelsea is the most organized team. They have one of the best holding midfielders, they're one of the best creative midfielders. But all the same, it all depends on the coach, how he's going to keep on. If not to tinker with his team, if he's going to get this team to the winning mentality and to keep them have that consistency, it will all be depending on the coach. So I'll get goes to you as we are winding up. I would like you to say something in Arabic as you speak to the people in South Sudan.
Shukran lekum kalis, ismi Gibson Adino. Nada ana mufla kalis asankun fi TV ta West Nile TV. So ajal tabak deramo besura fi channel tomon click link tomon ya follow ajal tomon kun. Shukran.
Okay, I would like to get to my PRIO because you have a lot of your followers and your old boys from Vara who would love you to hear. You would love to hear or watch you speak in Lubarati. I even don't know whether you speak Lubarati by the way.
Lubarati jara or for mini ma emisu kasa sura na ke on poraka mambirandi no poraka ki team di kidra ma vo koreki e ba vini hasi West Nile TV madrende na ke West Nile TV yondondo ode di ki onizu irene ne emiaza kozo kuselasi.
Okay, ofo sana tano cheke mobelu miko wakare bineno Whistle Time mabini West Nile TV ishano ngwen abiru mabini likubankare ngenye shopo kantimu konoka kodwani bini Weatherhead Park Lane I Arua Nyoke ishopo kani go simu namba mutie kani wotu ite screen peri eni man kingenyo bimi track man nimiku lembe ili cheke ni lobere kumlembe patugu with West Nile TV upeti maber man ke mekani track mbika ni track mu ni West Nile TV.